6. Not quite my tempo.
I'm telling you, nobody's I've been living my life with more. So high, got high my face. You smell my stuff.
Ay chicos, se repite la historia, no. No pasó nada, tranquilo.
Money makes the world go round, and round, and round, and round. What if we could make the world go forward?
I really feel sorry for you. You know, we're the same age. And here you are defending a miserable existence. Don't you realize how you're being exploited? How the people who control the money are diminishing your existence to working in a fucking dirty factory which puts black smoke up in the air, which pollutes the entire world, and you're working your ass off saving money for your kids, getting pennies while they're making hundreds and hundreds of...
Millions living in poverty, kids going hungry.
New figures show 8.4 million households will be in fuel poverty by April. That's 1 in 3 households.
Massive job walk-offs making work a thing of the past. The stock market bell rang for the last time today.
Every second is precious now.
I'm so lazy, I can't do anything, I don't work hard. Okay, maybe your parents shouldn't have sat you in front of a CRT television and let you watch Teen Titans for hours. Maybe it's not even their fault. Maybe your parents did that because they were too fucking stressed about making money to pay for the house.
There isn't a single person out there who doesn't have it. The hunger to do more, be more, live more.
I don't know how many of you remember this, but a couple hundred years ago, this was all a huge vacation spot. And now it's just kind of fallen into disrepair.
Does your dog know it's the end of the world?
Find meaning. Live the life you want, in the way you want. Time is almost up.
With 7 months and 13 days remaining, what will you be doing?
Only a fool thinks he can solve the world's problems.
Yeah, but you gotta try, don't you?
And you are with?
FBI.
And you are? Okay. State your presence.
State my presence, or why we're here to talk to you? I'm here to talk to you, see if you can give us a little help. Be honest.
On what?
I can discuss it, but we need to sit down and talk first.
About what?
About what?
Yeah.
Well, the FBI has a lot of programs going on where we try to identify some situations or people or groups that may be of interest, and you're not in trouble, you haven't done anything wrong, but you may know somebody that put the hair on the back of your neck up that you'd be willing to talk to us about, and that's why we're here to talk to you.
I'm sorry, I can't talk about something like that.
Okay. You just say you're not willing to talk to us?
No, not unless I'm under arrest.
No,
you
haven't done anything.
Okay.
You haven't done anything. Okay. So
I hope you understand my concern.
Absolutely. You haven't done anything.
Okay.
Yeah. But you understand why we're here.
No, I don't.
I just explained it to you.
I understand what you said, but I don't understand why you're here.
You don't understand why I'm here?
No.
Okay. Jim, have you done anything that may get you some publicity in the past?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
Okay, but the reason you hadn't done anything wrong, but you're known. And you're known to have association with sometimes some people in your groups. There's always one that does something, and then everybody looks at the group and says, hey, we should have been talking to some people that knew this guy beforehand so that we could have prevented something.
You know, I see that in a lot of groups,
right,
like Antifa, and I don't see nobody from the FBI going after them people.
Have you seen the FBI not talk to anybody? No. You don't know what they're doing.
I know they're beating people up and nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, that's something that they need to address.
Like that guy at Berkeley who just got attacked because he's a conservative and he's on video and he's still not arrested.
Listen,
okay?
We're not going to discuss politics, okay? That's not why I'm here. I'm here to see if you can assist us in trying to identify anybody that you may know.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't help you.
That would be of concern to you and of concern to anybody else.
Well, I'm sorry. I can't assist you.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Now, if you have a warrant or something,
we don't Jim, I'm here friendly, talking.
Okay.
If I had a warrant, do you think there'd be 3 people here?
No. No, because you come in gangs. Just like you are now.
No, just ain't a gang.
Okay, 3 is a gang over
gang.
one of me.
It's not one of you. You got 2 of you right now.
Because he's local, and we thought that make you feel more comfortable.
Nothing makes me feel comfortable when any police are at my door asking me.
Well, if you change your mind, you can call Atlanta FBI.
Call the Atlanta FBI.
Ask for us, and
we're trying to get your help.
We'll talk to you. Okay.
How much you paying?
Well, that depends. What kind of help you can provide.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait, now you're interested.
Wait a minute. It's got to be worth my while.
That depends entirely on what you provide.
Well, you know the expression, know thy enemy? In order to understand the magnificence of their elite plan and the magnitude of their evil intent, we must first identify whom we are dealing with here. There is so much misinformation going around, not only on the internet, but also in our history books. That, by the way, were never written by neutral observers, but always by the winners. If you don't understand where the cabal comes from, how far back they go in history, if you don't know how we were led to believe that all of these orders and movements were separate entities that came and went in history, independently and rather harmlessly, then you will most certainly not understand nor believe the true identity of the cabal. You will miss the fact that we find ourselves at the final stage of their master plan. And if you don't fully comprehend in which danger we find ourselves, you will not know what to do at the moment suprême. That is why we make this documentary, so you can wake up, see through all the lies, and take action to claim your sovereignty back. History books will have to be rewritten. Okay, let's see where and when our 2 storylines meet, shall we? It was in 1748 in southern Germany, Bavaria, in a small town called Ingolstadt. A boy was born. His name was Johann Adam Weishaupt. At the age of 5, his father died. The Jesuits took him under their wings and groomed Adam, who turned out to be a highly intelligent and strong-minded individual, to become a professor in canon law at the Jesuit University of Ingolstadt. He rewrote ancient historical documents in which the ideology of Lucifer would eventually lead to the complete control of the world. In 1773, a secret meeting took place between Meyer Amschel Rothschild and a select group of 12 elite Khazarian bankers and businessmen. Remember Rothschild, key player in our first storyline? The excessively wealthy and powerful Ashkenazi Khazarian banker from Frankfurt? Well, Rothschild proposed to join forces and riches with the purpose of world dominance. He had set his eye on Adam Weishaupt, who would be perfect to implement their plans in practice and run their organization. And so, on May the 1st, 1776, Adam Weishaupt founded the Bund der Perfektibilisten, the Order of the Perfectionists, later to be called the Order of the Illuminati. It was the fusion of the financial empire of the Rothschilds and the wealth and power of the military order of the Jesuits. Their goal? The creation of a world government and world dominance. Although Weishaupt's name is commonly known among those who study this material, not many people are aware of the fact that he based his Order of the Illuminati on ancient documents, one of which was a letter that was given to him by Rothschild. This letter, referred to as the Constantinople letter, was old and of extreme value to the Ashkenazim. It was 287 years old, written in 1489 by the Nazi, the chairman of the Jewish High Council in Constantinople, as a response to an outcry for help by the head of the Ashkenazi Jews in France. Remember the Khazarians who had fled Russia and who had changed their name to Ashkenazi Jews? They now felt threatened by the other ethnic groups in France. The king had even told them they had to convert to Christianity. The reply of the Nazi in the Constantinople letter was as follows. As for what you say that the King of France obliges you to become Christians, do it, since you cannot do otherwise, but let the law of Moses be kept in your hearts. As for what you say about the demand to despoil you of your goods, make your sons merchants, that little by little they may despoil the Christians of theirs. As for what you say about their making attempts on your lives, make your sons doctors and apothecaries, that they may take away Christian lives. As for what you say about their destroying your synagogues, make your sons canons and clerics, in order that they may destroy their churches. As for the many other vexations you complain of, arrange that your sons become advocates and lawyers, and see that they always mix themselves up with the affairs of state, in order that by putting Christians under your yoke, you may dominate the world and be avenged on them. Do not swerve from this order we give you, for you will find by experience that, humiliated as you are now, you will reach the actuality of power. In other words, they were told to fake a make-believe conversion and to infiltrate every aspect of society: commerce, medicine, religion, and legislation, with the sole purpose of revenge and destruction. How Khazarian. Adam Weishaupt founded the Order of the Illuminati in 1776, financed by the Rothschilds, based on this letter, that, by the way, was based on an even older document, more about which in part 4. 1 year later, in 1777, Weishaupt joined the Grand Orient Masonic Lodge. He made over 2,000 Jesuits head of the many lodges across the world, thus establishing a massive empire of power, in which the Jesuit order was the spider in the web. Weishaupt then officially left the Jesuit order, so that no suspicion would ever be drawn to the involvement of the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuit Council in the illustrious plans of the Illuminati. The Rothschilds used their riches to finance wars, as they had found out that by financing both sides of each and every war, they would always win financially. They knew no scruples, no mercy. The alliance of the Luciferian Khazars and the Jesuit order had only just begun. Their goals? Personal gain, wealth and power. The submission of the royal families. The annihilation of the infidels. Protestants, Calvinists, atheists, Muslims, Jews, in other words, the destruction of all religions except the Roman Catholic faith. The destruction of all governments, world dominance of the Pope, and revenge. Revenge on each and every one who had ever betrayed them. Revenge on Russia, first and foremost, the country that had expelled the Khazars. But not only that. Remember the vengeance of the Jesuits on the Pope, who had betrayed them? Well, they weren't done just yet. For the European kings, of France, Spain, England, Austria, and so on, who had banned the Jesuit order, were about to have a taste of their wrath. The first pawn the Illuminati alliance put forward was Napoleon Bonaparte. The fact that the French Revolution was indeed orchestrated by elite secret societies was documented and proven by the French Jesuit Augustin V0L. He wrote an influential account in which he focused in particular on Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Order of the Illuminati. According to V0L, the French Revolution was orchestrated by Freemasons and philosophers like Voltaire and Montesquieu. We'll get back to V0L in a later stage, so remember his name. Napoleon's advisor was a Jesuit, Emmanuel Siɗe. He advised Napoleon on where to go and what to do. In today's language, we would call Siɗe his handler. According to many historians and researchers, the Jesuits were the ones who orchestrated and directed the French Revolution and the outcome. Napoleon was a Masonic Grand Master. He was chosen and initiated by the order to play a key role in their planned revolution. Napoleon's brother, Louis Bonaparte, was made Grand Master of the Grand Orient of France. His wife Josephine was a member of the Mason Rite of Adoption. Under Napoleon's rule, the number of lodges in France grew from 300 to 1,220.
On every continent of buildings that are much, much larger than you would think people of our height would build.
Cities in America that look as though they were constructed in medieval Europe.
The outside's incredible, but the inside is built like a palace.
I'm not sure if there were even any schools of architecture back then.
How did they know how to do this stuff?
We're at the pinnacle of our civilization now. This is the best it gets. The best we've ever done. Look at the quality of these walls.
Now you'll go through a neighborhood and every home looks the same.
Had we known we're going backwards, everyone would be pissed.
As an architect of 20 years, I like to look at a building as telling its own story. I like to say that stones don't lie.
And they're giving us timelines of like a year. It was built in a year.
The history that we've been told is a lie.
Why would a regular-sized human make something so massive?
How did they build that beautiful, beautiful building? Was that building here longer?
I feel like the building was here already.
What was actually in the towers? What kind of technology was up there?
These buildings were built by the prior civilization.
A beautiful, easy, graceful method of travel flushed down the drains.
Nope, no more airships.
And they have to lie to us about it. They had to write the storybooks. We learned about one fire, the Chicago Great Fire.
There were fires in every major city.
Burned to the ground.
It's impossible for any stone building to be burning down.
What's being kept from us is huge.
What a world it must have been.
So there's literally been a cover-up of history in more than one way.
I know what it's like to lose. Feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail nonetheless. Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here, or should I say, I am.
She don't want to strip no more, don't want to hit that pole.
Primero, la bestialidad imperialista. Bestialidad que no tiene una frontera determinada ni pertenece a un país determinado. Bestias fueron las hordas hitleristas, como bestias son los norteamericanos hoy.
We're saying that they have intentionally shot children, they've intentionally shot people with disabilities, they've intentionally shot journalists, knowing them to be children, people with disabilities and journalists.
George Orwell once wrote, "Who controls the past controls the future." By showing you the patterns of behavior which have come to be that you perhaps have not noticed before, we will try to bring you back to the meaning of this country and what's so radically changed after World War II. This behavior has brought us to where we are now.
The flicker rate on the television is very, very important. It was timed to be so many cycles per second, and it actually just meets with the brain patterns for an alpha state.
Democracy is staged.
It's called the American dream, where you have to be asleep to believe it.
Hello. In the traditional motion picture story, the villains are usually defeated. The ending is a happy one. I can make no such promise for the picture you're about to watch.
Just a one-finger victory salute.
Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, but it does not end there. It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Here it is. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clacks for a little while.
I know. I've been told before, so don't tell me it's not true, because it's a fact. I bore people. People look at me and they get bored. People listen to me and they zone out, bored. Who is that boring person, they think? I've never before met anyone so boring.
For my last trick, I don't think I'm cut out for this rap shit.
You wanna keep going?
No, that's it. Suicide, I fucking scream it from the rooftop. The only thing I ever did was mentioning ever since Slick. Burn me a city of Lil Wayne, that shit probably still in my boombox. But nowadays I can walk into an establishment and select myself on the fucking jukebox. If I wanted to, cop a black Countach, drop that shit like 2 blocks and then smash in the back of a new cop car. Now I think I wanted to. For my last trick, I don't think I'm cut out for this rap shit.
And I used to run the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion. When we were deleted by Facebook, we had allegedly 155,000 members. We did not allow cursing or insults at all. We had 100 moderators from all over the Flat Earth, and the group still got deleted. Shortly after, my Instagram was deleted. Shortly after that, my YouTube was deleted. I've been kicked off Skype, Venmo, my Yahoo account was erased. Now you gotta ask yourself, if Flat Earth is so stupid, why are they censoring it? Why does YouTube go in front of Congress and say, we're censoring topics like Flat Earth? So truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. And you can lead a globe earther to flat water, but you cannot make them think critically about the shape of the earth. Fluid static state, when a large body of water is at rest, the surface is level and horizontal to its container, and the sky is a map and a clock. I'm surprised they would try and use celestial navigation to prove we're on a spinning ball in space with all the heavenly objects gravitating toward one another from an explosion of nothing. I mean, that's your religion, guys. And you're over here saying, the sky's a perfect map and a clock, and we use it to navigate the oceans. You use triangulation, which uses a triangle, which has straight, flat sides. And you're trying to tell us the Earth's a globe with triangulation using straight lines? Are you guys joking? Okay? You can't demonstrate water adhering to the outside of a spinning ball. You can't demonstrate a gravitational orbit at all using the scientific method. You can't demonstrate gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container. You guys really have nothing, to be honest. And the problem with celestial navigation on a ball in space orbiting the sun is that every 6 months, we're on the other side of the sun. We should see a completely different night sky, but year round, we see things like the Big Dipper, Orion's Belt, the Little Dipper, and contrary to the globe Earth claims, those are all fixed constellations. I mean, you guys think celestial navigation proved you're on a globe. When they came up with celestial navigation, they didn't even think the Earth was a globe. For example, the Mayans had built a pyramid, El Castillo, in the Yucatan Peninsula, and it was between the 9th and 12th century, and the structure can be used as a calendar and is noted for astronomical alignments. For 1,200 years, this pyramid's been lining up to the sky. Now, the pyramids in Egypt do that. Stonehenge, which was recently torn down, did that. I did the astroarchaeology myself and took the evidence myself. I went there, took a time lapse of Polaris through a hole that was drilled 40 years ago, and it's still there. Polaris means pole star. You don't get a pole star on a globe Earth tilted, wobbling, orbiting around the sun that's flying through the Milky Way galaxy at 1.3 million miles an hour. That's ludicrous. So hopefully you can demonstrate the three things I mentioned earlier. One of the problems you forgot in your opening is that mountains and objects change angular size as they get farther away from you. So when you stand on a really long hallway, the ceiling, which is above your head, will appear to drop down towards eye level. It's called perspective. I mean, we've been doing this for 8 years and Globers still haven't figured out the perspective thing. How pathetic. I know my teammate needed a little extra time, so I'm going to cut it short. I'm not even going to go into my slides, not even go into my presentation. We see way too far. You can't demonstrate gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container. Go look at the NASA bloopers. There's hundreds of videos of them with CGI, wires, green screen, harnesses, augmented reality, people ghosting in and out of screen. I mean, and you can test it yourself. This is the good news, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2023. We have high-power zoom cameras and telescopes that you don't have to point up at the sky. You could point them horizontally over large bodies of water. I've done this at Lake Michigan, Lake Pontchartrain, the Atlantic Sea, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, pardon me, all over Utah. I went to South Korea and did long-distance observations and spoke at a conference there. The Earth is not a globe. I don't want the Earth to be flat either. I would actually prefer if it was a globe. It'd just be one less thing the government, mind control organization would be lying about, to be honest. And NASA wouldn't be stealing $60 million a day of your money.
Daily basis, and so it can be quite cozy, and it's nice and quiet as well. Needs on a daily basis, and so it can be quite cozy, and it's nice and quiet as well.
I'll ask it again. Why do you need a literal bioelectrical remote control to our central nervous system individually? Why? Because you've had it for 30 years commercially? Just too addicted to it? You don't want to have a conversation with somebody. You're going to electrocute them into submission. Is that what it is? Now remember, because of you, what I just said there, they think I'm start focusing on all those pejoratives you've been cultivating for 3 years. Come on. Come on. Because no matter how many times I tell people I've been disabled for over 20 years, I am nobody, I'm just reading to people to help them understand. I come from black projects, meaning I'm not disabled because I had a car crash. I'm not disabled because I took a bunch of drugs. I'm not disabled because I was irresponsible with my life. I was sold into medical testing by my parents in utero. And ongoing. No choice. Nobody said anything. And worst of all, every time I ask about the R&D for the systems you have right now that you're advertising, it's all over. The Department of Energy said, we are going to have a better Manhattan project than we did before. All I asked was HOW, and you talk about it everywhere in international conferences and business. So I figured, well, let's talk some business. That way people are informed, because you're sure as hell not going to tell them. You're too busy playing with people like a bunch of middle schoolers. So what kind of intelligence community do we have here? Because obviously you're not the smartest people in the room. If you were, you wouldn't need these remotes. If you're so damn smart and you're better than everybody else, why do you need to reign over a dumbed down, malleable population? Doesn't make sense.
That's
un-American. So take your fucking shit and get out of here.
I'm interested in the artists I'm interested in because of their point of view. I don't believe AI has a point of view. I heard an interesting story on a podcast where there were 5 different AI companies, and as AI got better and better, these guys were the experts of AI talking, that all 5 systems, if they had the same data input of, everything on Google, let's say, which is what they're all using, eventually, as they get more perfected, if you ask the same question to the 5 systems, you'll get the same answer, one answer. And if you were to have a great script for a movie and you gave it to 5 great directors, you would get 5 very different movies. Mm-hmm. That's how art works. It's the point of view of the creator.
It's hard to think the unthinkable, but there comes a time when there's nothing else for it. People raised to trust the powers that be, who have assumed, like I once did, that the state, regardless of its political flavour at any given moment, is essentially benevolent and well-meaning, will naturally try and keep that assumption of benevolence in mind when trying to make sense of what's going on around them. People like us, you and me, raised in the understanding that we are free, that we have inalienable rights, and that the institutions of this country have our best interests at heart, will tend to tie ourselves in knots rather than contemplate the idea those authorities might actually be working against us now. I took that thought of benevolent, well-meaning authority for granted for most of my life, God help me. Not to put too fine a point on it, I was as gullible as the next chump. A couple of years ago, however, I began to think the unthinkable. And with every passing day, it becomes more and more obvious to me that we are no longer being treated as individuals entitled to try and make the most of our lives, but as a barn full of battery hens, just another product to be bought and sold down the river. Let me put it another way. If you've been driving yourself almost demented in an effort to think the best of those in charge, those in senior positions in government, those in charge of the great institutions of state, those running the big corporations, but finding it increasingly impossible to do so, then the solution to the problem might be to turn your point of view through 180 degrees and accept, however unwillingly, that we are, how best to put this, being taken for a ride. When you find a stranger's hand on your wallet in the inside pocket of your jacket, rather than trying to persuade yourself he's only making sure it doesn't fall out, it might be more straightforward to draw the conclusion you're in the process of being robbed. Once the scales fall from a person's eyes, the resultant clarity of sight is briefly overwhelming. Or it's like being handed a skeleton key that opens every locked door, or access to a Rosetta Stone that translates every word into a language instantly understood. Take the energy crisis. If you felt the blood drain from your face at the prospect of bills rising from hundreds to several thousands of pounds, while reading about energy companies doubling their profits overnight, while being commanded to subsidise so-called renewables that are anything but green, while listening to this politician or that renew their vows to the ruinous fantasies of net zero and Agenda 2030, while knowing that the electricity for electric cars comes in the main and most reliably from fossil fuels, if you can't make sense of it all and just know that it adds up to a future in which you might have to choose between eating and heating, then treat yourself to the gift of understanding that the powers that be fully intend that we should have less heat and less fuel, and that in the planned future only the rich will have cars anyway. The plan is not to fix it, the plan is to break it and leave it broken.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
Just like dishwashing, where I became the best fucking dishwasher of New York City history. The only fucking dishwasher to ever get reviewed in a magazine about food. They commented on how fucking clean the place was. That was me cleaning the place.
I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I'm done. I'm done apologizing. I am done being persecuted for my strength. You people should be thanking Christ that I am who and what I am because you need me.
Middle school counselor in Delaware County charged with possessing child pornography.
Kevin Siegel has been a counselor at Northley Middle School in Ashton for more than 2 decades. The district says he was immediately removed from his position after being charged.
Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson is live outside the media courthouse with more on the tip that sparked the investigation into Siegel. Sharifa.
Yeah, Sarah, John Siegel, he was initially reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children by Yahoo for inappropriate online activity. Now, that tip was sent in September, and it launched this entire investigation. This is longtime Penn Delco counselor Kevin Siegel giving advice to students. This video was posted on the district's YouTube page in February.
Rising 8th graders and being able to speak from their experiences in middle school.
Today he's arrested and charged with 17 counts of child pornography. When confronted by investigators, the 46-year-old told police it was stupid, a moment of weakness. He wasn't thinking straight. But according to the criminal complaint, more than a dozen explicit photographs of young girls between the ages of 7 and 11 were found on his multiple devices following a search warrant. Investigators say Siegel emailed the images to himself. They also say Siegel had been utilizing special programs to find and download child sexual abuse material. The Delaware Criminal Investigation Division began looking into Siegel after a tip from Yahoo. Siegel is the 8th grade counselor at Northley Middle School, a position he's held for 22 years. He's also listed as the school's cross-country and track and field coach. Over the weekend, the Penn Delco School District sent this letter to parents reading in part, Mr. Siegel was immediately removed from the workplace, placed on leave, and has had no contact with students since the moment the district was first informed.
What, you mean like something sexual?
They go on to add, law enforcement representatives reiterated that none of the crimes alleged to have been committed by Mr. Siegel took place on school grounds or involved any current or former Penn Delco students. And the district also says that Siegel was up to date and cleared for all the certifications and the background checks needed for the role he was in as counselor there in the district, but his bail is set at $100,000.
You're a bad man. You're a very bad man.
You think that? Go ahead, Anthony. I'm a very bad man.
If you're still supporting Israel in the year 2025, there's something seriously wrong with you as a person. You do not have a normal, healthy sense of empathy and morality. It's 2025. Israeli soldiers are telling the Israeli press that they're being ordered to massacre starving children trying to obtain food from aid centers. People by the thousands are leaving evangelical churches. More than any time in our nation's history. And a lot of it, if not most of it, has to do with they are sick and tired of their evangelical pastors and churches supporting genocide against the Palestinian people. They're sick of it. Jesus said, the peacemakers are blessed. Not the people who support Israel. That's not what Jesus said. Did he? I dare you to find one verse of scripture where Jesus said, bless Israel and you'll be blessed. Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
If I understood you correctly, you said a Muslim is one who's committed to do the will of God.
That's correct.
Then I am your sister, and the Jewish race are committed to do the will of God. You have to fight for us, and you have to fight for 97% of the population, and you're not.
May I respectfully say to you, the Quran teaches us that all those that are Jews or Sabians who believe in Allah in the last day, they have their reward with their Lord. I cannot be against a Jew if that Jew believes in God and practices the principles of righteousness. That's what I believe in. So in that sense, you would be my sister in faith. But now, what about the Palestinians who have lost their homeland, who have lost their lives, trying to defend a homeland that is theirs? Some Orthodox Jews say that a Zionist cannot be a Jew, and a Jew cannot be a Zionist. So now, is Zionism the real problem and not Jews? And what is the problem?
And some Palestinians support Yasser Arafat and some don't. What's the point? Does this mean, therefore, no piece of real estate should ever be granted to them? No piece of real estate should ever be granted or be claimed by Israel?
The real estate that was to be granted to the suffering Jews was to be granted to them on the coming of the Messiah. Those persons that set up the state of Israel were not believers in God. Herzl didn't believe in God. He's not a believer.
Okay.
Ben-Gurion didn't believe in God. So technically they're not Jews.
You have nothing to say about 20,000 children being killed. Nothing at all.
I have a lot to say about everything that happened as a result of the massacre of the 7th of October.
Now, I understand you care about Israeli children who died, as do I, but I'm able to care about both sides of children who've died. Why don't you care, seemingly, about the Palestinian children who've died? Why can't you express any sympathy or sorrow or empathy with the children who've died in Gaza? Are you able to do that?
I warn all Arabs from all sides, from all borders, warn them, stop educating children to hate
So just
Jews
to be clear, I've now offered you three times.
I made myself very clear.
Oh, you've made yourself very clear.
You asked me 5 times.
I'm going to give you one last...
You asked me 7 times.
Okay, I'm going to give you one last chance to offer some empathy or sympathy or sorrow about the deaths of 20,000 children in Gaza. Are you capable of doing that?
I can tell you that had you cared, and I don't believe you that you care a tiny bit about one killed person, if you do not use the means that you have as a media person to stop educating children.
I gave you 4 chances.
Jews. Okay, you gave me 7. You gave me 7.
And you know what? You couldn't give a damn, could you?
That you are to blame more than me.
You don't care, and all you want is all the Palestinians gone. You can barely even bring yourself to say their name. All you want is to take over the West Bank and Gaza. You don't care how many die in the process. You want them all gone. You don't care, do you? That's the bottom line.
As you said, the audience will judge.
Yeah, they will.
I'm a liar, a hypocrite. I'm a
afraid of everything. I don't ever tell the truth. I don't have the courage. When I see a woman, I blush and look away. I want her, but I don't take her for granted, and that makes me proud. I don't steal, I don't fight, I don't kill, not because I don't want to, but because I'm afraid. I want to rebel against you, against everything, against God, but I'm afraid.
The dots, but not getting the dots. Why was it that CIA was unable to collect information for years inside Afghanistan? When they had authority to kill bin Laden for over 2.5 years, why were they unable to kill him or his lieutenants? Why didn't they have a better capability to do something about it at the source?
Could it be that the bankster-supported U.S. administration is controlling both sides of the war on terror? Before the first plane ever even hit the first tower on 9/11, a massive U.S., British, and NATO troop buildup was already organized and positioned for an attack on Israel's enemies, opium-rich Afghanistan and oil-rich Iraq.
And there's an old poster out west, as I recall, that said, "Wanted, dead or alive."
With no solid proof of who was responsible for 9/11, George Bush Jr. attacked the poverty-stricken, war-ravaged country of Afghanistan only 4 weeks after 9/11. The U.S. and British military dropped 12,000 bombs on thousands of buildings and homes, pounding them into dust and rubble and killing 8,000 Afghan people. 20,000 more people died from war-related cold, starvation, and disease. Nobody made a big-budget TV production out of the massacre with a God Bless Afghanistan movie score. The U.S.-British war on Afghanistan left behind millions of starving people and thousands of women who are still veiled, still homeless, and still penniless.
Afghanistan is the world's largest producer of opium and now the world's largest producer of heroin.
دې علت دا ده چې 14 کاله دلته جنگ تیر شوی، زراعت تباه شوی، شفاخانې تباه شوي، تجارت تباه شوی، تعلیمي ادارې تباه شوي، مکتبونه تباه شوي، سړکونه تباه دي، ولږه ده، فقر ده، خلک بله چاره نه لري څه وکړي.
There can never be peace and democracy in Afghanistan. Why? Because peace and democracy would expose and cut off corporate America's opium and heroin trade at the source. So what was the payoff for the U.S.-British war on Afghanistan? 1, the uncooperative Taliban warlords got kicked out and replaced by the cooperative Northern Alliance warlords. 2, opium and heroin production and revenues skyrocketed. 3, Afghanistan got a new leader named Hamid Karzai, who just happens to be an ex-employee of Unocal Oil. 3, America got permission to build their oil and gas pipeline through Afghanistan. And 4, the Bush administration's favorite excuse for war, Osama bin Laden, was allowed to escape. America's second favorite excuse for war, Saddam Hussein, has always been America's patsy. In the 1980s, the United States supported Iraq's invasion of its neighbor, Iran, to stop the spread of Iran's Islamic Revolution. America played both sides of the Iran-Iraq war by supplying Saddam with chemical and biological weapons of mass destruction, and at the same time, America secretly sold weapons to Iran and illegally diverted the money to the Contra-revolutionaries in Central America.
During the war, the United States sent a special envoy to see Saddam in 1983. He was Donald Rumsfeld, now the U.S. Defense Secretary. The two men discussed how to reinforce Iraq against a common enemy. This was at a time when Iraq was using chemical weapons on Iranian troops. U.S. companies were supplying components with Washington's knowledge.
By 1990, President George Bush Sr. tricked Iraq into another war with another oil-rich neighbor, Kuwait. How? By supplying Kuwait with horizontal drills that could reach beneath the border of Iraq and siphon oil from Iraq's oil fields. Kuwait used the U.S.-made drills to steal 300,000 barrels of oil per day from Iraq, worth over $3 billion annually.
The fuse was lit, and Kuwait did nothing to put it out. They pumped oil without restraint from Rumaila oil field, which was accessible to both Kuwait and Iraq, and they exceeded OPEC quotas, flooding the market and driving prices even lower.
George Bush Sr. officially promised not to interfere in Iraq's legitimate oil battle with Kuwait, but when Saddam's army entered Kuwait to defend their oil reserves, Bush pounced on them.
Our goal is not the conquest of Iraq. It is the liberation of Kuwait.
America disposed of its toxic waste problem by building radioactive depleted uranium right into their bombs and dropping them on Iraq. Bush Sr. not only devastated and poisoned Iraq's water systems and infrastructure, he weakened the economies of both Kuwait and Iraq, collected giant profits from rationed Iraqi food for oil programs, and landed massive rebuilding contracts in Kuwait. Bush Sr. followed up the Gulf War with 10 long years of deadly trade sanctions that killed another 1.5 million Iraqi people, including 600,000 children who were cut off from medical supplies.
A bookstore in the United States today, you can find 50 books celebrating different aspects of the war and how grand it all was. And you only find one that points out that this was a war crime, that demonstrates the evidence that shows that we deliberately targeted civilians and killed more than 250,000 people in Iraq.
You'll be fighting not to conquer anybody, but to liberate people.
In March 2003, President George Bush Jr. launched the second Gulf War. The war on Iraq wasn't about revenge for 9/11, since not one of the 19 accused terrorists were Iraqi citizens. It wasn't about weapons of mass destruction, which inspectors hadn't found. It wasn't even about Saddam Hussein, who had been financed into power by the U.S. in the first place, and who got his chemical and biological weapons from American companies. No, the U.S. wars against Iraq and against Afghanistan were about mass murder and piracy. They were about big weapons sales, big oil, big pipelines, big drugs, and big rebuilding contracts. They were about colonizing the Middle East and moving 2 giant steps closer to world domination.
Come out! Come out! Come outside! Come outside! Everybody in the house needs to come outside. Out here to go, out here to go. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. No one there. No one in there. Yeah, clear the house now. Let's sweep on down straight. You go.
أنا أروح أشتريها ب6 أنفار. أنا ما أريد هاي الحرية، ما أريد هاي الديمقراطية، وأخويا وأطفاله راحوا من عندي، وهذا اللي ترونه من الدماء والجروح واللي الدمار اللي الأمريكيين هذول الحواوين القنادل.
The theft and devastation of this ancient land by the U.S. government closely resembles the theft and devastation of Palestine by the Israeli government.
showed the POWs and the dead soldiers. Al Jazeera showed them. It was powerful because America doesn't show those kind of images. Most of the news in America won't show really gory images, and this showed American soldiers in uniform strewn about a floor, a cold tile floor, and it was revolting. It was absolutely revolting. It made me sick at my stomach. And then what hit me was the night before there had been some kind of bombing in Basra, and Al Jazeera had shown images of the people, and they were equally, if not more horrifying than images were. And I remember having seen it in the Al Jazeera office and thought to myself, wow, that's gross. That's bad. And then going away and probably eating dinner or something, and you know, it didn't affect me as much. So the impact that had on me realizing that I just saw people on the other side, and those people in the Al Jazeera office must have felt the way I was feeling that night, and it upset me on a profound level that I wasn't as bothered as much the night before. It makes me hate war.
Tougher every day.
Some soldiers are even taking aim at their leaders. One told ABC News, if Donald Rumsfeld was here, I'd ask him for his resignation. Another suggested the deck of playing cards displaying wanted Iraqi commanders should be revised. The aces in my deck, he said, include Donald Rumsfeld and George Bush.
Since 1995, the General Accounting Office has ranked the Defense Department's financial management among the worst in the federal government on the GAO's list of high-risk areas vulnerable to waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement. What's more, in fiscal year 2000, the Defense Department's own Inspector General found the Pentagon could not account for more than $1 trillion, trillion with a T.
Private First Class Lindy England may never have figured these images would beam into the homes of millions of horrified people. Whatever she might have thought at the time, she says she and her comrades had no choice.
So to stand there, give a thumbs up, smile, stand behind all the naked Iraqis in the pyramid, take a picture.
Who told you to do that?
Persons in my higher chain of command.
Why were naked Muslim prisoners positioned on top of each other in the shape of an Egyptian pyramid? The answer can be found in the distant past. In ancient times, Iraq was called Babylon.
The year is 586 BC. The armies of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, descend on Jerusalem with the wrath of an angry God. It is almost 6 centuries before the birth of Christ. The Romans have not yet even dreamed of empire. It is a dark chapter in the history of the Jews, while Babylon's fierce star is rising. The Bible describes the Babylonian attack. Homes are pillaged, King Solomon's temple is set ablaze and utterly destroyed.
Saddam Hussein made the mistake of comparing himself to Babylon's King Nebuchadnezzar. The capture of Iraq and Saddam Hussein was not just about oil and colonization, it was also about settling an old Hebrew score.
We got him.
On December 13th, the producers of 911 released a new reality TV show called We Got 'Em. The Iraqi people claimed the We Got 'Em video show was staged. Why? Because the video shows ripe, yellow-colored dates growing on a tree to the left of the hole, where Saddam Hussein was supposedly captured. Every Iraqi citizen knows that Iraqi dates only ripen and turn yellow in July and August, never in December. Since date trees don't tell lies, the We Got 'Em video had to be staged at least 3 months earlier in July or August, not on December 13th as reported. How could Saddam, who is almost 70 years old and over 6 feet tall with a bloated belly, squeeze in and out of a hole that small? How could he have grown a beard that long in such a short time? Why did he dye his hair black while in hiding? For his CNN close-ups, perhaps? There are 3 books which clearly map out the Zionist plan for world domination. The Bible, written by Hebrews, Morals and Dogma, written by Freemason Albert Pike, and the Protocols of Zion, written by the Priori of Zion and revised by the Zionist Illuminati. All 3 books describe the plan for an apocalypse or Third World War, which will give birth to one world empire and one world leader. This one world leader is called the Antichrist. The Bible is like a screenplay for a reality disaster movie, but with a fairy tale ending. The Zionist plan is to create an apocalypse that will exhaust and depopulate the masses through deadly designer viruses, global terror, economic disasters, and nuclear war. These disasters are timed to occur between now and 2014, when the remaining survivors will gladly embrace the promises of a handsome, charismatic new leader who will unveil his plan of hope for eternal world peace. The only way to achieve eternal world peace, he will explain, is to put an end to the 5 causes of war. Secretly, he knows there is only one main cause of wars: the wars caused by his royal ancestors who planned, provoked, financed, and profited from them. He will sell his peace plan by telling the world that border wars will only end by creating a world without borders. Religious wars will only end by creating one world religion of interfaiths. Economic wars will only end by creating a cashless, debt-free society. Rivalry wars between rulers will only end by creating one world ruler. The tools used for war, from handguns to nuclear bombs, will be eliminated, and one world army will be created, which will guarantee world peace. How will this eternal peace plan be accomplished? Through the United Nations, which is the brainchild of the Committee of 300 Ruling Families. The UN is their vehicle for world government and is located on 18 acres of prime Manhattan land donated by the most visible of the ruling families, the Rockefellers. The UN is a closed organization with no public records or open meetings. U.S. taxpayers have already invested $2 trillion in this world authority. Although most of the people working for the UN are genuinely working for peace, the UN is a godless organization controlled by the Committee of 300. These inbred ruling families pretend to have royal blue blood, but their blood is no more blue or royal than Hannibal Lecter's blood. Some speculate that these families of evildoers are demons or aliens or evil shape-shifting reptilians, but there is a more scientific explanation for their madness. For thousands of years, these families have practiced inbreeding between sisters and brothers, uncles and nieces, mothers and sons, to keep the power and wealth all in the family. This practice of inbreeding over thousands of years has produced a clever but pathological breed of conscienceless, sociopathic families who will stop at nothing to own every ounce of gold, every drop of water, and every blade of grass on planet Earth. The United Nations, which they founded and control, has clearly stated its goals of establishing a new world order, a UN standing army, and a global taxation system. The Queen's husband, Prince Philip, and Evelyn Rothschild have already established an interfaith declaration for the creation of one world religion. What would life be like in this world empire with one world religion, one world army, one world economy, one world court, one world media, one world government, and one world dictator? What the public doesn't know is that Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto and the Russian Constitution have been built into the UN Charter, and that the New World Order will be a communist world order. Peace on earth will be a forced peace in which citizens will have no rights. No right to bear children without approval, no right to travel without authorization, no right to own private property, no right to privacy, no right to bear arms, no right to protest, no right to receive an inheritance, no right to choose an education or a job or even a place of residence, and worst of all, no right to live. The right to live will be based on an individual's rating of usefulness to the royal elite. In this planned world without borders or nations, citizens will be disarmed of all weapons, including handguns, and will have no means to protest, fight, resist, or challenge this one world authority who will control them spiritually, economically, and militarily. Every human being will be electronically tattooed and will become helplessly dependent on this one world authority for all of their most basic needs. The masses will eventually be taught to bow down and worship this one world dictator who will rule the entire world from his eternal throne in Israel. The big question is, who is this charismatic leader that the entire world would be willing to accept as their ruler? According to plan, this future world ruler will prove himself to be a descendant of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, and will therefore be accepted by the Christian world. Some will even view him as the Savior and Messiah. As a professed descendant of Christ and a proponent of world religion, he will also be accepted by Buddhists, Hindus, and the Eastern world where Jesus Christ reportedly lived, studied, and preached Eastern philosophy. Since he is a descendant of the Hebrew tribes of Israel, he will also be accepted by Hebrews and Jews worldwide. By marrying a Muslim woman, he will win the acceptance of the Muslim world. He will also be accepted by worldwide Freemasonry and secret societies, which he is a member of. As the son of Princess Diana, he is already loved and worshipped. When his mother died in the arms of a Muslim man in a Paris car crash, the world embraced him. On May 31st, 2004, the Rothschild-controlled Associated Press published a photograph worldwide taken by Alistair Grant. The photo shows Prince William posing with a lamb like Jesus Christ, who the Bible calls the Lamb of God. What is the significance of this photograph? To the unaware observer, the photograph is perfectly innocent, but to insiders familiar with the protocols of Zion, Freemasonry, and the Book of Revelations, William is identified in the photo as the Antichrist. The Antichrist has been described in art and literature as handsome and charming and a master of lies and deception. Freemasons call him the Baphomet, or Goat of Mendes. He has also been described as the embodiment of evil and the enemy of God, and has been called Satan, Lucifer, Pan, the Beast, and Amen. He is commonly illustrated with cloven hind hooves. Why is Prince William holding up a cloven hind hoof in the photograph? The question of whether God or Satan even exist has been fiercely debated since the beginning of debates. Some people believe that God and Satan are inventions of the ruling class to control the masses. Most people acknowledge the existence of positive creative energy characterized by joy, love, and vitality, and the existence of negative destructive energy characterized by greed, hatred, and death. The triumph of evil in the world today is based on the ability of evil to disguise itself as its opposite and fool the masses. Without organized intervention, Life and peace on earth will take on a whole new meaning. How many people would be willing to play a game of Monopoly with real money if the banker was making up the rules, rigging the dice, stealing the money, cheating the players, and grabbing up all the properties? The answer is almost everybody. The truth is that only 1% of the world's population of over 6 billion people is controlling the other 99%. That 1% owns the world's banks and most of the world's wealth, land, and resources. So why is everybody passively cooperating with this madness? Because the wealthy 1% who write the rules have taught the other 99% to obey them and to feel powerless to change things. When people feel powerless, they cling to passive attitudes, like ignorance is bliss, things aren't that bad, or let God take care of everything. Before choosing a passive attitude, remember that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. Despite all the red flags, many people deny that a problem even exists. It does exist, and the good news is there are solutions. The solutions lie in knowing what the 3 biggest fears of the world's ruling families are. The first biggest fear is exposure. They have gone to great lengths to cover up their trail of crimes and to win the public's trust through their media monopolies. Without public trust, their ancestral plan for global control is doomed. Their second biggest fear is losing public support. If the public stops cooperating, their plan is guaranteed to fail. Their third biggest nightmare is organized resistance by an informed and fearless public. The ruling families know from past experience that the will of the people can defeat all their military and monetary might. Vietnam is a perfect example. There is no doubt whatsoever that these ruling families can be totally defeated by turning their 3 worst fears into a reality. Solution number 1 is exposing the ruling families and their generations of horrific crimes against humanity. The most powerful form of advertising is word of mouth. Share information, talk about it, name names, recommend books, videos, and websites. Form your own study group and solutions group. Design a web page, show videos, films, and DVDs. Raise money, give money, organize, lobby, email, and do whatever you can to stop the madness. Millions of people around the world who protested the invasion of Iraq learned a hard lesson. They learned that peaceful protests don't work. Since the Committee of 300 Families created think tanks to mastermind a plan for global control, citizens must also create think tanks to mastermind a plan to stop them. Learn who the past and present members of the Committee of 300 are. At the top of the list are the royal families of Britain and Denmark, the international banking families, and the affiliated political families. Find time to research and read about the Committee of 300. Dig beneath the hype and propaganda, connect the dots, and share your information. The second solution for ending the madness is to take back control over your own money. Right now, your money is in the hands of the ruling families who own all of the world's banks, including the privatized central banks. How did they get to be so powerful? It started with the very first banks. In the beginning, banks were a safe place for people to store their gold. When the bankers discovered that people left most of their gold in the bank for safekeeping, they started lending out the gold that didn't belong to them and charging interest on it. Soon, kings and royalty were borrowing gold from the bankers to finance wars. Since wars were extremely good for business, the bankers started stirring up conflicts that led to more wars. Then they lent money out to both sides of the wars and collected huge interest rates. Eventually, the bankers got so rich that they built banks all over the world. They made millions in interest just by loaning out other people's money that didn't belong to them. They bought mansions and fancy clothes and hosted extravagant parties. The royal families of Europe became the banksters' biggest customers and rewarded them with high society titles like Lord and Baron and Sir.
Then in your life there comes the darkness. There's a spacecraft blocking out the sky, and there's nowhere to hide. You run to the back and you cover your ears.
Frankly, I have been pushing NASA to revamp its vision. The shuttle did some extraordinary work in low orbit experiments, this International Space Station, moving cargo. It was an extraordinary accomplishment, and we're very proud of the work that it did. But now what we need is that next technological breakthrough. We're still using the same models for space travel that we used with the Apollo program 30, 40 years ago. And so what we've said is, rather than keep on doing the same thing, let's invest in basic research around new technologies.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Now what we need is that next technological breakthrough. We're still using the same models for space travel that we used with the Apollo program.
The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to.
So you have NASA saying they don't have the technology to do that anymore. The technology that they used between 1963 and 1972, they don't have it anymore. But then you hear your ex-president say they're still using the same technology that they used between 1963 and 1972, which is their current excuse for not being able to go past low Earth orbit. Now keep that in mind.
Previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
The technologies that we're testing out on Space Station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Well, that's a great question. The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So
the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
The moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Nowadays, outer space is a given in everyone's minds. It's virtually in every movie, video game, comic book, novel, and even music and TV shows, causing mostly everyone to believe in outer space without question, even though they have never been there or seen it for themselves. Did you know that we are told that a mere 536 people have been to space, with only 24 of them traveling beyond low Earth orbit? That's barely a drop in the bucket as far as the entirety of Earth's population is concerned. And one of the funniest things is that all 24 people that have supposedly been past low Earth orbit come from the Apollo missions that took place between 1963 and 1972.
Now think about that. The only people that have been to space, and I say that in quote when I say space, are these 24 guys. And the last time they went was 1972. And they just all happened to be Freemasons. And let's have a look at their reaction when being asked about going past low Earth orbit.
Are you afraid for the truth to come out? Tell us, what is this video? I'm not quite following it on right now.
Yes. From the challenges by the group that has said we never went to the moon, and they're trying to pick holes in some of the lunar photographs. And it's an interesting subject because they're totally misguided. We did exactly what we said we did. And they can try to pick holes in the photography all they want to, but if you're going to press me on this, I'm not going to talk to you anymore, because I won't pursue this. All of this attempt to say the Apollo programs were fake is just sheer nonsense, and you can talk till hell freezes over, and you're wrong. Okay?
Well, would you affirm?
I won't continue on this line.
Would you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
You bet your sweet ass.
Okay, put your left hand on the Bible. Put your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand and say, I, Edgar Mitchell.
I, Edgar Mitchell.
Affirm.
Affirm.
Under penalty of eternal damnation.
I don't believe in that, but
penalty
of eternal damnation.
That I walked on the moon on Apollo 14.
That I walked on the moon on Apollo 14.
Well, you know, you're the first astronaut to do that. We asked 6 other astronauts to swear on the Bible, and they refused to do it.
Okay, turn off the camera. Your interview is done. I've given you all the time I'm going to give you.
Okie dokie. Good to meet you.
I don't say it's a pleasure.
Understand.
Please get your ass out of my house.
Okay. As an independent producer.
Okay,
we're heading out. Doing that is against moral ethics. Lying about going to the moon is a satanic lie of gigantic proportions.
I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get...
I'm heading out. I appreciate it.
And get the hell out of my house. Don't get a gun and shoot them at them before they get out of the office?
We have a video camera running if you want to do it.
Right.
That would be great footage for us. See you later. In court, I hope.
You want to call the CIA? Have them whacked.
Now you would think that these guys would be falling to their knees to swear on the Bible that they walked on the moon. You think it would be something they'd be proud of, but that's not their reaction. They're acting like criminals with something to hide, like someone who just got caught lying or cheating. But anyways, as I was saying, out of 7.8 billion people in the world, only these handful of people say they've been to space. And that's what your whole belief system lies upon. These 24 guys, what they say they've seen. Freemasons. And no one since then has been beyond low Earth orbit, because they lost the technology to go back there. They never lost the technology. They never had it. And as long as they say they lost it, can't none of these new astronauts try to go there, and that's their excuse, so they never find out there's a firmament. You can't go anywhere beyond what they call low Earth orbit. And that is why every rocket or shuttle launch that you've ever seen in your life on TV always curves off, because there's a firmament. There is no place to go.
Bill, there is no big glass dome over the Earth. But Bill, there is no big glass dome over the Earth.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing.
If you can't figure out what difference it makes that the people running your world have fucking lied to you over and over your whole life, if you can't figure out that someone lying to you is trying to control you, suppressing of information, of knowledge, is control. Deception of information and knowledge is a form of control. So what difference does it make? It makes a big difference, because once they start omitting information or lying about information about where you live, they're doing it to control you. Period. Why am I having to explain this to critical thinkers in the truth movement? Where you live, it's been a lie the whole time, and if everybody would just come together and demand answers, they would be in checkmate. They would not know what the fuck to do. They cannot prove it. They can't prove the globe because it doesn't exist. So once you calling on them, they're done. You then remove them from power and go from there. That rips down all the other conspiracies. The way you control billions of people is to keep them divided and fighting each other. So they focus on anything and everything but you and how you're controlling them all.
The Earth is flat, like, obviously. Planes fly straight, boats sink. I don't need NASA, I have critical thinking and vibes. And my vibes said flat.
Fuck this class, fuck the entire university, fuck the job, fuck all of you!
Fuck my life. My brain feels tight. Let's get wild tonight. What's the fun though? Everybody in the club go wah wah. Wah 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 wah. My suggestion is to suck the damn fuck up. Sorry, I need to cool down.
I just wanna feel good. I just wanna feel good. I just wanna feel. Can you teach me how to feel good? I just wanna feel good. I just wanna feel good. Give me specific directions on how I can feel good.
Trust me, gay is in, gay is hot. I want some gay.
I don't know. I wouldn't take it as an insult. It's just descriptive. You know, Jews be Jewing. Niggas be nigga-ing. Bitches be bitching. Jews be Jewing. It's what they do, okay? It is what it is. So I don't know. You're the one that's taking it bad. I'm just saying it's what it is.
I said I deserve it all. I'm waking up at 6 a.m. 6 miles a day, conditioning my wind. I said I deserve it all. I'm showing up as your friend, telling truths better than your next of kin. I said I deserve it all. I never asked for too much credit, seeking validation just for the aesthetics. Bitch, I deserve it all. I see you as a human first, even when you didn't understand your worth. Bitch, I deserve it all. It's innate to mind my business, writing words, trying to elevate these children. That's why I deserve it all. Pray for those who prayed against me. Every reason why my ancestors sent me. Bitch, I deserve it all.
Task paralysis, negative self-talk, constantly overwhelmed, stressed out, unable to focus, increased irritability, endless restlessness, neglect of responsibilities. I have ADHD and it used to control my life. My house was always a mess. I was never on time, and I could not stay focused at work. I couldn't find the motivation to change, and when I did actually try, I always seemed to fail.
Shit. Guess what have you two heard about me?